Welcome to the Skrmetta Show podcast. 2 podcasts in a week, which is, I think, more than the entire year of 2018. On this podcast, we are going to be talking NBA trade deadline, the Jeff Bezos National Enquirer story, which is out of control. Justin Bieber and Hailey Baldwin Bieber now. A Vogue article was written about them. They're on the cover, and some of the stuff in the story was very interesting, including Bieber's celibacy. And if we have time, a few more little things close to my heart. Real quick, we are going to hopefully have like graphics and music and a more professional feel to the podcast early next week. But I just wanted to get these out of the can as fast as possible and not delay with anything like that. So, but thank you all very much for the positive, reviews of the podcast earlier this week. Felt good to be in front of the microphone again, and I forgot how much I really did enjoy it. So let's get straight into it. The NBA trade deadline came and went this week, and the big story was Anthony Davis to the Lakers. Or I guess the not story, because he didn't end up going to the Lakers. So the whole thing was the Lakers, it kind of got crazy because the Lakers wanted to send virtually the entire team, besides LeBron James, to the Pelicans for Anthony Davis. And we heard a lot of different things. We heard about how the Pelicans were like fake offering or fake listening to offers, and they were just it was just kind of a mess where they were not answering phone calls from the Lakers or leading the Lakers on and trying to sabotage the Lakers. And it was a real disaster. And Anthony Davis, I don't think, handled it very well. He came out and said that he would only re-sign for like 4 teams. So that, eliminated a lot of teams from trading for him, and the whole thing was really ugly for a lot of different reasons. And the Pelicans ended up not trading him. So first things first is, did they make the correct move in not trading Davis? And I think yes. I don't even think it's close. I really don't. I think that given what Anthony Davis did, and make absolutely no mistake about it, Anthony Davis was holding this team hostage. He was saying, trade me, the best player you've ever had in your franchise, trade me, and you have to only trade me to this one team, and you have about 9 days to do it. Good luck. And I mean, what the Lakers had just didn't fit. I was saying it all week, like, Lonzo, not great. Brandon Ingram, good. The rest of them, I mean, at one point it was like Rondo, Lance Stevenson, Zubac, Michael Beasley. It was just a bunch of nothing. It was very similar to those who play fantasy sports when you're trying to trade for like a stud player and you put one of your starters in there in the trade, and then you fill the rest of the trade up with like bench players, just bench spots. So it looks like you're trading a bunch of players, but you're actually not losing anything because you're not losing any real starters. Or the players you can just go pick up are the same as the starters. And trading for Rondo is just like picking up a player that another team dropped and then trying to trade that player back to them. So the Lakers didn't have the pieces, I guess. And the Pelicans, I think, knew that. I think the Pelicans knew that they either needed picks to guarantee them like Zion or a total stud in this year's draft, aka Zion, and only Zion. And it's hard to do that in the NBA because of the lottery. And it's really hard to do that when you're trying to trade with the LeBron James team, because the LeBron James team is never going to be in the lottery. So the Lakers' picks were irrelevant. So their picks were irrelevant and their players weren't good, which means that they needed a third team, basically. Well, Anthony Davis already screwed that up because he told all the other teams that he didn't want to play for them. So all the other teams were like, well, we're out of this. We can't get involved. A trade, for example, for like all those garbage players the Lakers are trying to send, if they send all those players to like the Hawks need players like that. They need Lonzos. They need Brandon Ingrams. They need Michael Beasleys. They need Rondos. The Hawks need that. And the Hawks have picks. So the Hawks could send like a player or two and a bunch of picks to the Pelicans. So a 3-way could work out like that. Never happened. And I think the Pelicans now are in a position where they can go try and trade for Jason Tatum. They can wait and see if the Knicks want to get involved, because the Knicks have some picks that are very, very interesting, especially if they continue to be bad, which it looks like they will. then all of a sudden the Knicks could have the first overall pick. And then you're looking at, this year's pick, next year's pick, maybe a player for Davis, and the Knicks have a bunch of money. So for the Knicks, they're trading away great players, but they're in their mind they could have Kevin Durant, Kyrie Irving, and Anthony Davis next year, which that would put them, I would think, at the top of the East. So I think that the Pelicans did a good job. As far as the Lakers, let's go back to the Pelicans. So what should the Pelicans do? That should be the question. What is the plan with Davis? Well, they're going to let him play, first of all, which I think is tough. I mean, you can't basically fire him, but I can imagine it'd be really hard, for that team, for the players, for the rest of the roster, for the fans. It's going to be hard to see Davis and root for Davis and think like nothing happened. It is a business, and I do understand that, but he basically broke up with his girlfriend, couldn't find an apartment to live in, so he's like, look, I can't get an apartment until 4 months from now. Let's just live together for the next 4 months. Even though we're broken up, it'll be chill. Spoiler alert, it's never chill. So the Pelicans are in a weird spot for sure. I mean, you got to play them, I guess. You can't. I don't even know what the other option is. I don't even know if it's legal to just sit them. But what they need to do is they need to understand that the NBA works in a very obvious way. The NBA is the easiest league to design teams for because it's just superstars. That's it. The NBA is devoid of any kind of like team creation or like the old school, like the Detroit Pistons with like Rip Hamilton and Chauncey Billups. No superstars, but just a really good team. Spurs even. Tim Duncan was a superstar, but not in the way that I'm talking about. They just kind of filled it up. They just kind of had role players and good players and a great system. That's over. That's over. The NBA, look, I'm going to make it real simple for you. The NBA is superstars and superstars only. Whoever has the most superstars, or if you have the same amount of superstars, whoever has the better superstar. And that's it. That is it. So the Pelicans have to decide, and that's the problem with Anthony Davis. If the Pelicans have to decide, do we want to get a bunch of players and then sign superstars? Or do we want to get a bunch of picks and try and draft superstars and then sign superstars? I think the route they're going to go, if I had to put money on it, I would guess that they're going to trade for Jason Tatum or a package involving Jason Tatum. The only two things I think are on the table are a package involving Jason Tatum or a package involving the Knicks pick. And if the Knicks pick is not Zion, they messed up. Simple as that. The problem with both of those is you're in the same spot with Davis. If you trade for Zion, virtually, you have to put players around Zion. You have to put players around Jason Tatum, or you're going to be in the exact same spot with Anthony Davis, where 6 years from now, you're going to have a bunch of 8 seeds and a bunch of highlight reels, but you're not going to have anything else because you have other teams like the Rockets and the Warriors and the Lakers and the Celtics and whoever else who are stockpiling these superstars, and you're being left in the dust. The NBA is the least parity in any sport. If the Raptors went, the Kyle Lowry, DeMar DeRozan Raptors of the past couple of years, not this year with Kawhi, because we don't know how they finish this year, but every year the Raptors were the same story. Every year. They would be the 1 seed. They would have a great regular season. Kyle Lowry and DeMar DeRozan would be all-stars. Everything would look good. They'd have home court advantage, and then the Cavaliers would come in and sweep them, and they'd be knocked out in the second round. Why? The Raptors are the better team. Doesn't matter. The superstar on Cleveland is better than the collective superstar on Toronto. And that is the algorithm. We're talking 1 + 1 = 2. The NBA is incredibly simple. It's only getting simpler. So if you told me last year, if the Raptors were 82-0 and the Cavs were the 8 seed and they were playing all 7 games in Toronto, I would bet my house that the Cavaliers would win that series. And people would think I was crazy for betting against the 1 seed at home, all undefeated, 82-0, first time ever. It just does not matter in the NBA. So the Pelicans have to keep that in mind with this Davis thing. Because if they mess it up, generational talents don't come around, more than once a generation. Now let's talk about the Lakers. The Lakers, I think that people are looking at this kind of wrong. I think the Lakers know what they have. They know that it's a collective bunch of relative garbage. And LeBron James. And LeBron James is going to bring players in. You know, players don't need LeBron James to go to the Western Conference Finals to know he's LeBron James, right? So if you're a free agent, Klay Thompson, and you're looking to sign somewhere, and the Lakers are interested in you, I don't care if it's just LeBron James. You're going to go sign over there. So I think they understood that this year was a bit of a work in progress, and that they were really trying to work for next year and the year after. Very Miami-esque when LeBron went to Miami, or even Cleveland. When he goes there and he kind of takes stock of everything and says, okay, what do I have in this locker room? Who can actually play? Who do I need to get rid of? If you remember the Cavaliers, when he dealt Wiggins, and people were freaking out. People were like, how can you deal Wiggins? He's, the first overall pick. He can be this good. He can be another LeBron James a few years from now. What if he develops? LeBron James isn't worried about development. LeBron James isn't excited about prospects developing 5 years down the road. LeBron James wants to win. So if it means bringing in a Kevin Love for 2 years, winning one title, screw it. See you, Wiggins. See you, Lonzo. See you, Ingram. So I think the Lakers knew, worst case scenario, they don't move anybody. Same players. Best case scenario, they put the pressure on New Orleans, a notoriously bad organization. They put the pressure on them, and New Orleans does something stupid. New Orleans caves to the fans. They cave to Davis. They cave to the internet backlash of Davis requesting a trade and all that stuff. And they trade Davis for a ton of trash. LeBron James virtually has the same Lakers team plus Anthony Davis, and he can do the same thing he's doing. It's like there's no lose situation for LeBron at that point, in my opinion. So I think the Lakers were bluffing a bit and presented a bad trade, and were hoping that the Pelicans would take the bait. They didn't, so this delays the Davis stuff for them, or maybe if it's not even Davis, it delays the superstar coming to LA, the next piece. No one thinks that LeBron, Lonzo, Ingram, and Kuzma are going to beat the Warriors. It's not going to happen. So he needs help. Is that help Kyrie Irving? Is that help Klay Thompson? Is that help Anthony Davis? I don't know. But he has to have help. So this year, I think the Lakers, a bit of a wash, and I don't think they're looking for a title this year. I think that they made that pretty apparent, and I think a lot of those Lakers are going to be gone, and things that we expected to happen at the trade deadline are just going to happen in the offseason. So the trade deadline was exciting for things that possibly could have happened, but the Lakers, just bottom line, don't have the pieces, don't have the ammo to give New Orleans what they wanted. So let's move on to the next story. And it kind of hurts the NBA, to be totally honest. This superstar thing, because I couldn't imagine if I was a fan like the Denver Nuggets. Denver Nuggets are doing really well right now. Doing awesome. At one point, they were the number one in the West. Doing amazing. Absolutely nobody should think they can win the NBA Finals. Absolutely no one should think they can win the Western Conference Finals. And it's sad. It really is sad. It ruins the NBA because, one, it makes the regular season totally void. No one gives a shit if the Nuggets are the 1 seed. No one cares. If the Warriors are the 7 seed and the Nuggets are the 1 seed, the Warriors are the favorite to come out of the West, not the Nuggets. The regular season is a total joke. What it also ruins is parity, because it's the same teams every single year playing in the finals or playing in the conference finals, because it's just superstars. This year, I hope you enjoy Rockets Warriors, because that's what you're going to get. In the East, I hope you enjoy Celtics and Raptors, Celtics and Bucks. And the only reason that it's not Celtics and Cavaliers is because LeBron's in the West. Otherwise, it'd be a repeat of the conference finals and a repeat of the finals for the 5th straight year? Is that where we're on, the 5th straight year of LeBron versus Warriors? So it's a mess. Basketball's in a mess. They need to fix the roster system. They need to fix how they do these superstars and these glorified AAU travel teams is what they are. They need to fix the whole process. Let's move on. Next story. This is bananas in pajamas. Okay, this is Jeff B. This story, man, has everything. It reads like a James Bond softcore porn parody script. It's got nudies. It's got affairs. It's got billionaires. It's got Russians. It's got the president. It's got 2 to 3 day delivery. It's got it all. So let's back that ass up. Jeff Bezos gets a divorce because of an alleged affair at the time. The National Enquirer, you may know them as the magazine that covers things like Bat Boy, John Benet Ramsey, and Who Killed JFK. True story, whenever I used to go to the grocery store with my parents, like when I was a little kid, they were always the magazine I would see, like at the checkout line. And every single time, it was either Bat Boy or John Benet Ramsey. Every single time. For a while, I actually thought that they were real. I actually thought the National Enquirer was an actual publication. And I'm sitting there in the checkout line. Like my mom's, like shopping and she's getting her coupons and she's getting whatever she's going to cook for dinner. And I'm sitting here sweating, man. I'm sweating, sitting there going like, oh my God, Bad Boy is real. I cannot believe this. I live in a world with vampires. What the hell am I going to do? I am freaking out. I'm terrified. I'm either trying to solve the John Benet Ramsey case at the age of about 8, or I'm dealing with nightmares of freaking Bat Boy. So the National Enquirer and me already don't get along. And their paper, it just feels trashy. So anyways, the National Enquirer, they had released some text from Bezos. Some sexts, if you will. Bezos getting a little sexy. Bezos getting a little romantic. Well, Jeffy didn't like that very much. So Jeff let me get this guy's name. It's like DeBecker or something like that. Let me get this guy's name. Because I'm all about citing the correct journalists. Where is this? Oh, I should have done this before. Okay, Gavin DeBecker. Gavin DeBecker sounds like the generic name from an NBC cops drama. So he gets Gavin DeBecker, known investigator, to look into how the hell the National Enquirer got Bezos' text messages. So Big Jeffy and DeBecker, they start investigating the Enquirer. The Enquirer gets pissed. Now the Enquirer's main guy's last name is Pecker, David Pecker, chief of National Enquirer's publisher. Okay? So Pecker, you see what I'm saying about the James Bond porn parody? We got DeBecker, we got Pecker, we got Bezos, we got Sext, my God. We're not even a tenth into the story. So Pecker is mad at DeBecker for trying to figure out for this investigation. Twist, Pecker is friends with Trump. Oh yeah, we getting into it. But we're going to remove that part of the story because we're focusing on Pecker and DeBecker. So Pecker emails Bezos, or not Pecker, but the National Enquirer emails Bezos and says, hey man, so I heard you're investigating how we got those text messages. Well, that pisses me off. We have some images of you, 9 images to be exact. I'm going to read to you the exact description of the images that they have. And he said, we're gonna release these photos unless you quit investigating us for how we got your text messages. How's that feel, Jeff? So we're cranking up the heat. So basically, Pecker and co. are threatening Bezos with his own nudies that they're going to release in the same publication of Bat Boy. So here are the 9 photos that they have. Mr. B, and these are all quotes. Mr. Bezos face selfie at what appears to be a business meeting. Miss Sanchez, that's Bezos' affairee. Mistress, I think they call her. I don't know. Miss Sanchez's response, a photograph of her smoking a cigar in what appears to be a simulated oral sex scene. Spicy. A shirtless Mr. Bezos holding his phone in his left hand while wearing his wedding ring, He's wearing either tight black cargo pants or shorts. Man, I hope they're not tight black cargo pants. And his semi-erect manhood is penetrating the zipper of said garment. Can you imagine? Jeff Bezos looks like if Mr. Clean lost 150 pounds, had his phone taking a selfie of his damn Sonya Blade tight black cargo pants with his, what was it? With his semi-erect manhood penetrating the zipper. I mean, these photos. I'm not done. A full-length body selfie of Mr. Bezos wearing just a pair of tight black boxer briefs or trunks with his phone in his left hand while wearing his wedding ring. So Bezos is a briefs guy. Oh, he's a boxer briefs guy. Okay, cool. A selfie of Mr. Bezos fully clothed, very wholesome. A full-length, scantily clad body shot with short trunks. A naked selfie in a bathroom while wearing his wedding ring. Mr. Bezos is wearing nothing but a white towel, and the top of his pubic region can be seen. Dope. Miss Sanchez wearing a plunging red neckline dress revealing her cleavage and a glimpse of her nether region. Nether, I think that's where Scorpion came from in Mortal Kombat. Miss Sanchez wearing a two-piece red bikini with a gold detailed dress revealing her cleavage. It would give... Oh, and then... So that's it. So that's the 9 photos. So Bezos, Thursday evening, releases a 2,000-word document on Medium.com, which I didn't even know Medium.com existed. I only go to extralarge.com if you know what I mean. But Bezos releases this damn thing. It's a 90-minute read, and he releases everything. Not the photos, but he releases all the emails of the National Enquirer blackmailing him. And don't get it twisted. This is blackmail. Do not get it twisted. This is straight up strong-arming somebody because you got some nudies into doing whatever you want. I mean, this is blackmail 101. I got something that you don't want people to see, so you're going to do what I want you to do, partner. Okay, this is not good. So Bezos releases all of it, and he's giving color commentary in between emails. And in one of the emails is the thing that I just read with the photos. No one knew about these photos. So Bezos kind of sort of released the photos without, because reading the tight black cargo pants and then seeing the black tight cargo pants, two very, very different things. So Bezos is pretty much saying, look, man, you can't negotiate with terrorists. This is blackmail. This is ridiculous. I'm releasing all this stuff. I could buy the universe. Do what you're going to do, but watch my shoes. And the National Enquirer is now is an interesting spot because, one, now they're being interviewed for blackmail. They're being investigated for blackmail. They're being investigated for strong-arming Jeff Bezos. And two, they're in an interesting spot because we've all seen terrorist movies. Whenever terrorists get called out on their blackmail or their threat, they had that one moment where the camera zooms in really close to their face, and they either decide, should I actually do what I'm threatening to do, or should I not? But if I don't, I'm gonna look like I've been lying the whole time, and no one's gonna take me seriously. So the National Enquirer is in a really tight spot. Do they release the photos and kind of condemn themselves to blackmail? Or do they not release the photos and basically wave the white flag to Bezos? It's a really tough spot, and especially when you remember that I told you that Pecker is friends with Trump. Now, why the hell does that matter? Oh, it matters because Bezos owns the Washington Press. So, is this Pecker trying to help Trump? Because if you're going to blackmail the richest man in the world, why wouldn't you blackmail him for money? Or is that too much blackmail? I don't know. But it's a really weird situation, man. Really weird situation. Like, is Trump telling Pecker, release it? Is the President of the United States actually worried about Jeff Bezos' tight cargo pants semi-manhood? Is that where we are right now? Is that where I'm living? Is that the universe that I am occupying? Where Jeff Bezos' semi-erect manhood and tight cargo black pants is at the top of the list of the leader of the free world? I don't know. So insane, man. Absolutely insane drama going on. And I think Bezos did the right thing. Look, this tells you a few things. This tells you, one, I don't care who you are. I don't care if you're the richest man in the world. Doesn't matter. The internet is always this close from getting you. Jeff Bezos. Jeff Bezos, you know how many important things are on Jeff Bezos' iPhone? You know how many things Jeff Bezos' iPhone has on there that he's like, no one else can see this? You know how many security? I guarantee you he's hired probably 10 to 15 individual security guards, hackers, technicians, whatever, just to keep his phone private. Just to keep his phone secure. He ain't scared of leaking nude pics, right? And boom! 9 pictures. 9 pictures of scantily clad Bezos. Mr. Not So Clean himself. You are threatening to be leaked out there. Jeff Bezos. If Jeff Bezos can't be protected, you think you can be protected? You think those duck-faced selfies you're sending, you think those selfies of you in the shower, you think those are protected? Your passcode is 1111. And you think you're protected. What it also shows is just how powerful the idea of embarrassment is. Jeff Bezos is the richest man in the universe. Billions and billions and billions of dollars. No sweat, right? He can do whatever he wants. But he's being threatened to be embarrassed. This guy runs the biggest company in the biggest world. As Ric Flair would say, he's got the biggest house on the biggest hill in the biggest part of town. And he's embarrassed for people to see his semi-erect manhood peeking out of his black cargo pants. Embarrassment is a powerful tool, my friend, and it happens to everybody. It's not just rich. It's not just poor. People don't like to get embarrassed. Whether you're worth $100 or $100 billion, nobody wants to see their black briefs in the public. Bottom line. Very interesting story. Very crazy stuff. So I'm interested to see what's going to happen for sure. I'm very interested to see what's going to happen. Let's move on to the next story, shall we? The next story, kind of again about semi-erect manhood. But, so Justin Bieber and Hailey Baldwin are on the cover of Vogue. And I don't read Vogue. You know, probably working out. Probably too busy doing the bench press. You know what I mean? I ain't reading Vogue, okay? I'm probably too busy doing dude stuff, grilling meat. All right? But I heard that they're on the cover of Vogue. And the article is really interesting because Bieber, and maybe it's just me, but I've always been really interested in people who reach such an insane amount of, we'll just call it success, you know, it's money, fame, at such a young age, and their development, especially with Bieber. Because Bieber never fell off to where he like, sometimes like Macaulay Culkin, right? Macaulay Culkin went from being the Home Alone kid to being like, whoa, this guy looks like he is the like literally walking heroin, you know? And so people kind of backed away from him. Bieber never really did that. He was a rebellious troublemaker, but he was still Justin Bieber. He still put out good music. He still dressed nice, looked nice, whatever. And it's always interesting to me to see how people develop because I can't even imagine. Life is hard enough. I mean, I'm 29 and live in a small town, you know, don't have millions of dollars. Life's hard. I can't imagine if I was living Justin Bieber's childhood and had to try and deal with real life. I remember a story I heard was when Bieber was young, and he had done something like flown to Brazil, or he had done something crazy. And they asked his agent, you know, like, what the hell is wrong with Justin? And he said something to the tune of, well, he's a 19-year-old kid who's dealing with 19-year-old kid stuff, and he has $500 million in his bank account. So, kind of tough. And it's just so wild to hear that kind of stuff and to see how these kids develop. And he's only 25. I mean, Biebs is he's still young, which is nuts, you know. I mean, but anyways, the article talks about how Bieber and Hailey were celibate. Bieber made a choice to not have sex until they got married, and he admitted that he was dealing with like basically sex addiction, and basically just he had a real problem with sex as a whole. He wasn't getting any pleasure out of it. It was hard for him to enjoy it. But he was also addicted to it. And at that point, I think whenever you are someone like Justin Bieber or really anyone at that level, it becomes something else. I remember hearing about Jake the Snake Roberts, a famous wrestler, who he was a wrestler in the 80s and, can only imagine what was going on at that time. And he said that what broke his marriage up was that on the road with groupies and just constant access to partying and sex, he was having so many orgies and threesomes and whatever that when he went home to his wife, he couldn't do it. He could not be with just one woman. Like physically, he couldn't. It just didn't arouse him anymore. It wasn't a thing anymore. It had mutated his brain into being like totally different. It became a sickness where it's not normal. It's not normal for humans to be like, nah, man, the only thing I'm interested in is orgies. That's not how it's supposed to be. But when you have that much access and that much freedom and that much just at your fingertips, your brain starts to warp and it changes things in you, like your self-worth, your identity, your values. And Bieber, for being at this time, in his mid-20s or his early 20s, that even compounds it even more. And it was just crazy to read about how him and Hailey kind of went through this. And maybe Hailey was like the perfect person for him to go through this because she, her father dealt with cocaine addiction. And so she knew, I guess, the pitfalls of fame and the pitfalls of, what can happen to child stars or just stars in general, And she seems to be super patient and super strong for him who needs that. And it was just a really interesting interview. If you haven't read it, go read it. It's on Vogue's website. But it really puts you into that mindset of what these people go through as human beings. And you can tell, man, like the stuff Justin says, it's not just about sex, it's about everything. He talks about how it's almost like he has PTSD. It's almost like he has like he's coming back from war, where he remembers these times and he remembers just like being depressed and just all these different emotions and all these things he's dealing with while trying to become an adult and, all in the public light. And it is insane that people ever get out of that. It's really crazy that people get out of that whatsoever. It's bananas. But very interesting article. I just wanted to bring that up real quick. But yeah, he said that they were celibate for more than a year, and that's why they kind of just got married at the courthouse or whatever. And yeah, he kind of fought kind of a sex addiction thing for most of his past couple of years. But yeah, we're running low on time, so I was going to do another story, but instead we're going to do a really quick one. So I was looking around Twitter today, and a new trailer for a new movie came out. Chucky, Child's Play. They're making a new Child's Play. The director of It is doing it. I loved It, the new It. I loved it. Not with the creepy bellhop from Home Alone 2, but what's his name? Tim. Oh man, so tip my tongue. Tim. Damn it! As soon as I quit recording, I'm gonna remember this. I remember like mid saying something. But yeah, the new It was awesome. I loved it. And Child's Play was one of the original movies that scared me a lot when I was a kid. Child's Play was really popular whenever I was growing up, and I remember being really scared. I always had trouble sleeping when I was little. I still have trouble sleeping now, not because of fear, but just because my mind raced. So I had a hard time getting to sleep, and when you're a kid and you're scared of stuff, it compounds it anyways. And my sister had like a bunch of dolls, Beanie Babies, just dolls in the house. So Child's Play was like custom made for me. And I remember being terrified of Chucky. And all of a sudden, it was like a light bulb went off where I was like, man, if he did attack me, if he did come after me, I mean, I have a pretty good chance. Like he's just a doll, I have a pretty decent shot at this thing. And it's just so funny to see him being remade. And I think a big problem with Chucky movies in the past is they showed too much of Chucky. You can only show a doll stabbing someone so many times before the audience is like, yeah, this looks a little ridiculous, Like, the more Chucky talks and the more Chucky walks and the more Chucky does Chucky things, the more people have to be like, I'm not really scared of this thing anymore. This is literally a Cabbage Patch doll. But in the trailer, they don't show Chucky at all. When they do show him, he's totally enveloped in darkness. You can see like his super red hair, but you can't see his face. You can't see you can see parts of him, but you can't see him. And I hope that in the movie, I hope that they do the same thing. I hope they keep him off screen as much as possible, because the more they show him, I mean, he is just a doll, you know. But thank you very much for joining me again. A beautiful episode. We're getting back into the hang of this thing. We will be, again, we're going to try and get the graphics, get the music and stuff like that, and spruce it up a little bit. You know, we are doing a podcast, but I do hold a lot of pride in the production value of these videos. Also, we are planning something very special for the Oscar weekend. So be on the lookout on this channel for that. It'll be a fun video. I'll give you a hint. The Oscars don't have a host, so I'm thinking about stepping in. It's a little teaser for you. So be on the lookout for that Oscar weekend. So thank you very much, guys. Spread the word that the podcast is back. You can only currently find it here on YouTube. More of a video cast than a podcast, I suppose. But you can always, hit that Bluetooth in your car on the way to work, put on the podcast, listen to it, bada bing, bada boom, 30, 45 minutes. You're at work, you're feeling good, you know everything you need to know to talk to your friends, talk to your family about the hot topics in the world. So thank you for hanging out with me for 40 minutes, twice this week. We'll be back very soon. Content's going to be coming out like crazy, and I'm excited I don't want to say I'm excited to be back, because remember, I never left. 900 hours of live content created in the past year and a half, which maybe in the future we will talk about. Maybe not. Maybe it's a dirty little secret. Who knows? Hopefully we'll talk about it. But yeah, thank you very much, guys. Subscribe to the channel if you have not. If you're new here, how the hell did you make it this long?